What's up? Welcome. Thanks for joining. Um, I'm working on a research project, and that is what is it called? I think it's on my clipboard. Digital Bootcamps in Gender Equity is the title of the research project. If you are hoping to see a bunch of Python data analysis today, probably not going to happen. Check back Saturday. What we're doing today is kicking off a survey that will be analyzed later. And if we have time, which I doubt, we may do some like Google searching and Google Scholar kind of thing, like finding related papers, literature review, survey the literature. We may do some of that. But primarily what I intend to do right now is to set up the survey. And you can take a peek how I do that, which is I'm going to use Mechanical Turk with SurveyMonkey. So here I have in front of me, I have SurveyMonkey. And I basically already know how my survey is going to look. So, you know, if you were doing this for the first time, you might want to talk with a mentor or some peers, get some feedback. Preliminary peer feedback is key to making sure you get smoothly accepted later. Don't go lone wolf and then be surprised later if there are deep problems going all the way to the questions in your survey. So take advantage of your social network. Hopefully you have great friends. You help them, they help you. And even if they're not your co-authors, like if they want to get involved, maybe they are a co-author. But even just a matter of scholarly kind of like professionalism, somebody shouldn't mind taking 5, 10, 20, even 30 minutes to look through your proposed survey questions and just sanity check it, you know? Yeah. And I would say maybe get 3 people to sanity check it instead of, well, if you can, get someone to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. But there is a strange pressure that arises if you kind of like try and pick one of your buddies and put a lot of pressure on them to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Try and get volunteers, right? And so the way that I've found, for me, it's worked out, I guess I'm lucky maybe, that it's pretty easy to ask a few people to give it a quick look. And then it seems like one of them ends up giving it a less quick look, sort of opt-in basis. Okay. I'm actually not familiar with this view that I'm looking at right now in SurveyMonkey. I just logged in. Get actionable insights. I don't think I need this. What industry do you work in? I kind of work in education, mostly technology. Okay, I can pick 2. Ooh, I don't know, it's sort of vanishing. Use at least once a month. Teams, Zoom. I guess, do I use Tableau at least once a month? I mean, I have been for the past few months. I don't know if I'm going to continue that. Let's do Python and other direct programming languages. Python and other programming languages. That's what I really use. Okay. Brandon Broadway, thanks for joining. How's it going? I'm going to close Docker. I don't have any use for Docker right now. And it takes up like a bit of memory. Cool. Create a survey. Yes, I do want to create a survey, but I basically want to replicate an existing survey. So I'm going to scan through my surveys, because my question is like, which one do I want to replicate? I could replicate the COVID one. I want to use the personality one. Yeah, Ocean Grit, COVID. Oh, do I have it all in one? That would be the win. If I have Ocean Grit and COVID. What are the questions on this? This might be ideal. Design survey. Right, hiring and firing decisions. Oh, the other one that would be nice is, okay, let's go back to our theories. Let's go back to the drawing board and talk about theories for a minute, because you want to have your questions validate theories, basically. Gender effect theories. So one is like the person orientation versus object orientation. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another theory is just like differential personality theory. This is like occupational preference. That's the one that always gets brought up. Differential education, we know, is a bit, we know, and experience. We know these are big effects. Like that's like years of and work experience. Okay, we know these are big effects. There could be like differential norms orientation. But this is a perfect example of why like a multiple regression is so needed, because you could easily, in theory anyway, we haven't measured anything, of course, but in theory, you could see that differential norms orientation could potentially be completely explained by like the above three, like any of them or some combination of them, right? So you might naively find differential norms orientation, but on further study, there might be no independent effect. It might be endogenous with these other effects. So it might be spurious, basically, right? Okay, what other? Oh yeah, so COVID differences is going to be theorized on the basis of remote preference differences, which is theorized on the basis of person orientation. Okay, so that's like one actual theory that I'm testing is, hey, did COVID impact women differently? Because there's a differential preference for remote work. And that could be potentially explained because females have higher person orientation. Does that make sense? That's one theory. Do I have any other like substantive theories here? There could be like a risk aversion play, right? So the data set that I'm gathering has to do with college versus alternative credentials. And alternative credentials are a bit riskier. And college is like the safe thing, right? College is like very normative in the United States. Potential impact directly to college preference. So this could be like a risk aversion. Risk aversion, which could be like maybe a personality thing. And then I also have, what's the other survey I ran in the past? I have a model survey for this. Contextual effects, I don't think matter. Matching. Okay, so prestige. Prestige valuation, differential prestige valuation. Could be a thing. That's not the one that I was trying to get to, though. The CBE filter. I forget what the CBE filter even is. Let's see. Artificial intelligence, ethnicity. Yeah, ethnicity, don't expect a big effect there. By gender? No. Credit by examination. That's the CBE filter. Have you received college credit by examination? Is there a big religiosity effect by gender? I'm not sure. I can Google that real quick. STEM profession, that ended up being a spurious variable. Okay, so yeah, credit by examination, I don't think it matters. Zeros the Fire Dragon, what's up? Thanks for joining. Awesome name. I feel like I remember you. Religiosity by gender. Women are generally more religious than men. Okay, but what is the effect size? I hate just like top line stuff like that. It's like so stereotypical. Pew, I trust Pew. Yeah, what do you got? More women pray daily, 43-4. Okay, that's the kind of difference that we're talking about. And then it just gets stereotyped into women are more religious. Well, here we go though. This is interesting because 43 to 40 is like, I don't care. Like, I don't believe you're important. 36 to 46, maybe. Depends the exact nature of the parameter we're measuring. But this one over here, this is like a 2 to 1, no? That's a greater than 2 to 1 difference. 131 exceeds double 131 exceeds double 61. So this could be important. So it says women are more likely to be religiously affiliated than men in many countries. There's no country where men affiliate more than women by at least 2 percentage points. It's kind of interesting, except that our study is bounded in the United States. There could be something interesting here, but my study is bound in the United States, so that result doesn't apply to me. Gender gap, Muslim majority countries. Again, this is like, if I was doing an international study, this might be something I would want to capture, but I'm just doing a study in the US. So here's the difference in the US. I really don't think it's even worth measuring, because once I correct for all the things, education, age, personality, pretty sure that difference is going to fall apart. So I'm going to go out on a limb. Where's my notepad? Called anti-theories. One is going to be, I don't think religiosity within country, USA specifically, is important. We can go ahead and grab this. Here's another anti-theory is I believe credit by examination effects are captured by alternative by other measures of preference of favorability to alternative credentials. Cool. I don't need that old agenda anymore. I don't think any of that stuff down there matters. I'm going to hold on to it though, because I don't remember. All right. Cool. Differential prestige valuation. This is still not the one I was looking for. Let's see. I think it's going to be within matching. Oh, that's matching was the skills. So differential skills? Sure, why not? Let's see. Differential skills. Endogenous origin. Differential skills could totally have like, I am skilled about communication because I'm people oriented, e.g. communication skill plus teamwork plus EQ because people oriented. So it's worth talking about, but it could be endogenous. That's actually part of the point of my study is like, let's separate out independent and endogenous effects, right? Something is still missing. Doggone it. Okay, talked about prestige valuation. Industry, income, age. There's the personality, COVID impact. The other one was like different perceptions of, let me just look at my research papers. Like, I'm trying to remember so hard. I can just look it up. Okay. (3S), it's one of these. COVID, and could be that one, or attitudinal trends, no. Conformity and soft skills, yeah. It was the conformity thing that I was trying to remember. Conformity and soft skills. Okay, so that's sort of captured under differential skills. Let's break this down. So differential skills, but then also non-conformant. Differential conformity receptiveness. Bam, there we go. Differential conformity perception. Right, which sort of relates to the norms orientation question and the risk aversion question. Yeah, I think that captures all of the theories that I'm interested in surveying and or testing. Okay. So let's clean this up because some of these are sort of mixed. So person orientation versus object orientation is important. Differential personality theory, super important. Expected to relate to. Occupational preference is technically a little bit different, but the idea is that they're related. Differential education and work experience. Differential norms orientation. This is still like differential. So what would the difference in norms be? The difference in norms would be that like men are more willing to be non-conformist on both extremes. And so this would be a differential risk aversion story. Huh? Okay, let me. Differential risk tolerance aversion. So that's going to show itself in different ways, but that's the overall theory. 1, 2, 3, 4. So one way would be differential norms orientation, i.e. preference for college. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. What you doing, broski? Hey, Lawrence, One Syrian, what's up, what's up? We are doing some research, man. So I'm giving a talk at the Southern Economic Association conference next month. Southern Economic Association. That's in Texas. It's going to be in Houston. If you're in Houston in the weekend of November 20th, hit me up. 91st annual meeting. So I'm on a panel talking about gender effects and education. My specific topic is gender effects and digital boot camps. So that's obviously related to tech, and it's obviously related to the economics of education. So we're doing some research. So hit me up on Saturday if you want to see some Python code, but today we're just setting the survey with SurveyMonkey, and we're going to use Mechanical Turk to recruit participants. Cool. So differential norms orientation, i.e. preference for college, is one. One element of risk tolerance, differential alternatively educated individual. What's another, like differential receptiveness, differential favorability to non-conforming individuals. Yeah, that's this one. Differential skills is like expected to be explained by 1, 2, 3, 4. Expect to find it, but expect dominant endogeneity with personality theory, education, and or like people orientation and work experience. Oh, that's, I repeated myself. So personality theory, people orientation is a part of personality theory. Okay. So this would be an IE, for example, IE. I.e. communication skill and teamwork, because and EQ because people oriented. Differential prestige valuation. Let's pull this out. Okay, risk tolerance. Let's pull this 7 out. Oh, it's 5 and 6. Let's pull those out. See if we can regroup those. So we have like 1, 2. Differential, this needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ocean cluster differences. I also have grit. So grit plus ocean cluster difference expected. Do a cluster analysis on that. That would be cool. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Differential personality theory, differential education and work experience, and differential risk tolerance. So we have 3. And then differential skills, but that's expected to be endogenous with the above 3. And really, risk tolerance could be is possibly explained by personality theory. So this could roll up into 2, potentially. Now, let's look at the COVID differences. I do expect to see them. Remote preferences, I do expect to see them. And we expect to explain expect dominant endogeneity. Expect dominant endogeneity. Differential prestige valuation. So this is like, oh, you went to Harvard. Oh, you have a high income. So I do expect the difference there, and the question is why? Is it a brute fact, or is it explained by some higher order theory? Could it be explained by personality? Yeah, I think interesting, education and work experience could have a negative coefficient on that, right? Like if the woman is rich, she might not care that the guy is rich, right? Or if the woman is highly educated, she might not care that she might even have a worse taste in her mouth, so to speak. I'm going to reorder these. So it seems kind of like those are the 2 highest order, and then here's the 3rd one. So I do expect to see it. But yeah, I think the same thing. Expect dominant endogeneity. And why? Due to the big three. Let's call them the big three. So this will be my big three theories. Differential personality theory. And then these are the sort of like expected endogenous effects. So differential skills, COVID favorability. COVID favorability differences. And prestige valuation differences. I guess a seventh one is going to be actual like legal and policy changes. I guess this would be more like I'm not like it's pretty much illegal, right, to discriminate on the basis of gender. However, there are like informal policies, like company policies, not so much laws, but company policies that will favor hires on the basis of gender, like diversity hires. So policy like public and private policy effects. This would be like formal. There is like an informal thing here too. Wow, this could be really hard to measure though. How would we measure? Like, do you like working with men? Just ask them like that. Ask guys and girls that question. And do you like working with women? Ask guys and girls that question. And then you would have an informal gender norm. And would it correlate to that? I feel like that's like kind of out of scope. And that would be a whole other theory. That's like a social norms theory. So we'll say social norms theory, potentially out of scope. So there's like the social norms, and that's like informal. But then here we have like the formal social norms, i.e. Public and private policy effects. 1, 2, 3, 4. Special attention to diversity hiring policies. Okay, I think this captures it. So how do we measure this stuff? Personality theory measured, no problem. Risk tolerance. We're measuring A. B, I need to include. So this will be from the from a different survey. From skills paper survey. Possibly endogenous. Okay, that's not even a measurement. So A and B are the two operationalizations of this theory. I think these two are more like special mention territory. So this would be the minor theories, special mention territory. Because the main point of this paper is not new research. It's more like a synthesis paper. And I am going to pull a survey, but I intend the survey to be updates of existing like replication over time, not like a new theory test. And I think it's nice to mention these two because you could like put an olive branch out for future research. So there's something to build onto. This is not a closed case, right? Louis Menelaus. I don't know if I said that right. What's going on, Louis? Welcome to the jungle. Special mention territory. So formal social norms. Let's see. Um, could measure gender-weighted distance from mean and median, so I can have some weak evidence. And the idea here would be, if there's like a social norm, what would that social norm be? There could be there's like the masochistic social norm. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but it's like only guys work here. This is a man's job. You know what I'm saying? And then there's also the reverse, which is not so much like only women work here. I mean, that's a thing in some professions, but in tech it's not. But what you do have in some companies is we're only interested in hiring women right now. It doesn't mean only women work here, but you could have nonetheless an informal social norm in your hiring process, right? This is not even, I'm not even referring to like unconscious bias. I'm referring to like a cognizant correction, like intentional. So minor theories, formal social norms. I feel like there's external data on this. I think there's external data. Anyway, I'm not going to be collecting my own. I'm not going to include a survey question that asks about your company's policy. I'm not going to do it. That would be a novel question. So here I'm including a new question from another data set that I have. This would be like a totally new question, which I'm not interested in doing. I want to combine questions that I've previously asked. Informal social norms theory, I can ask questions that I've asked in the past and just work with them in a different analytical fashion. And that would be weak evidence. Stronger evidence, 1, 2, 3, 4. Stronger evidence would include purpose-built, questionnaire rather than derived measures. Purpose-built questionnaire, right? So an example of this question, yeah, would be just like, would you, like, just like, what do you want to do? Like, do you like working with guys or girls? Do you want your next hire to be a guy or a girl? Those would be all like social norms. Do you usually work with guys or girls? Those are all like social norms questions. Do you feel like it's harder for a guy or a girl to thrive at your company? Those would be some examples of purpose-built questions that I'm not asking. What would I actually be measuring here where I'm taking the average? Let's see. So I could look within industry, which would be sort of a proxy for within firm, but there is such a thing as industrial culture, right? And we know the tech industry has a tech industry culture. And there are companies that are on different edges of that culture. But we can also just look at the industry average as well. So that's one thing that I would be doing. Is I could look by industry. So this would be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, I. Average, so percent gender by industry. So percent gender by industry, and what do you do with that? Gender weighted distance from mean and median. So the ultimate thing that we're predicting here is favorability to alternative credentials. This would be a really weird theory, wouldn't it? So the idea would be when the industry is what, like relatively even, or if it's relatively one-sided, which of those would favor alternative credentials in the industry? I guess the idea would be to the degree that the industry conforms to the male or female stereotype, right? Stereotype theory, like a gender collapse theory. That basically, if your industry is mostly men, then your industry is going to act like a man, which is to say, higher risk tolerance, greater preference to alternative credentials. It's like an extremely stereotypical theory. But I guess that would be the theory. Let's see. That would be one theory. And the other would be that like men are more willing to work as a minority compared to females. So the idea here would be that the stereotypical female is risk averse, and that working as a minority is a risky position. Minority employment as risky, as a risky choice, plus risk aversion. So I do have a cross industry view, even though like I'm focused on digital boot camps. I do have a variable that measures industry, so I could look at that. Could measure gender-weighted distance from like social norms theory. Weak evidence from derived measures. Yeah, so this percent gender by industry, so this norms theory really collapses into, they really both collapse into these big three. Right? These once again seem to collapse into the big three. Cool. And I got to tell you, those stories were so complex and speculative that I doubt much of an effect is even to be found. But we can at least check. Social norms theory. Let's see, what are a couple other popular social norms theories? There's like political theories of social norms, which I'm not super interested in. I guess one is like the musclehead man idea. So like, according to that theory, men shouldn't even be in tech because it's not like physically intensive. They should be out like harvesting wheat and shit and fighting people barehanded. According to that theory, people wouldn't use guns. Social justice. Okay, we can look at that. Sexual health behavior. I don't care. Concussion education. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, a social norm around income, that could definitely be interesting too. But we're looking at gender effects specifically. So how do gender effects and income interrelate? Yeah, I mean, guys on average have higher income. I think this is really the core. Okay. Nothing really, no value add there. It's like pain tolerance, risk tolerance kind of thing. Pain tolerance, risk tolerance, safety tolerance. Let's see, let's go back. I think I'm capturing all that stuff. Pain tolerance, risk tolerance, safety tolerance. I'm only really doing risk tolerance, but I feel like they're all just like highly correlated. Smoking and eating and like eating too much and drinking. So this is like, all of these could be considered dangers, right? So that you can view them all through a risk aversion lens. So I think we're capturing all of this through the single risk aversion instrument. Okay, so I think we got it. Closing all of those. Think we got it. Cool. So these are the big three theories that I have. One that just dawned on me is maybe like military related stuff. No, I don't really know what to do with that. So the idea would be what is like men predominantly obtain the GI Bill, so there's going to be like a favorability effect to boot camps that, I mean, I like maybe, okay, who cares? Veteran boot camps would, the idea would be like veteran boot camps disproportionately educate men. Right? It's like, am I even doing research at this point? Like, I feel like there's nothing interesting to be had there. Percent of female veterans. Right? Veterans who are women is 10%. So if you have a boot camp that specializes in educating veterans, like, duh, it's gonna disproportionately educate men. So it's like a stupid theory. Even if I found it, it's like, duh. And I don't have a variable for that currently, so it would be a novel variable. So I'm not even going to look for it. I'm going to put that as an anti-theory. It's not even an anti-theory. It's like, not really an anti-theory. Not really an anti-theory. Just like, duh. Not worth measuring. Just like duh and not worth measuring. that there is an aspect of research that's like, are you really going to write a paper on that? Because like, duh. But then sometimes the answer is, bro, I need to get published. So yes. Josh Hannay. What's up, Josh Hannay? So we have a good framework for what I want to write. This is what I want to write. I should just copy and paste this into a basic LaTeX file so I don't lose it. Here, I can download a copy. Download. And so what questions do I need to back these? I have these questions. Oh, another thing here. Yeah. No, I already got that. Preference for college. Differential education work experience. Formal norms, we're just going to speak to that. It's going to be external data. Social norms theory will have some weak derived measures and then speak to that externally. Expected endogenous effects, COVID, prestige, differential skills. Okay, so am I actually going to measure differential skills? decisions. So I already have the skill data with gender. But what I haven't done is show that that's endogenous to personality. Okay, so let's look at the survey. Yeah, so I would need to have the skill questionnaire included on this. Okay, let's do it. Ooh, that's super rough. All right, let's do it. And then covert favorability, we have it. Prestige, valuation, differences. Prestige, valuation, differences. How did I ask about that? Let's go check. So there's high and low. Prestige. Design survey. Hiring and firing decisions. Yeah. How impressed, how unimpressed would you be? I want to go back and look at my paper and see my results. So, hireability and educational prestige. I guess one interesting question there is like, are women harder to impress than men? That's actually an interesting result. That could actually be used as an interview heuristic, which is like, hey, I'm interviewing a guy. I should, like, not just are they harder to impress, or value different expression content. Like basically, should you alter your interview time interactions with your interviewer based on their gender? Are you just being like super mean and stereotypical, or is there some there that can be kind of concisely explained and meaningful? Wow, it's almost like each of these feels like its own research paper. So let's take a step back before we commit to doing everything. It's always a trap in research, right? Is like there's so many interesting questions. It's also in programming. It's like there's so many interesting features. The trap is scope creep. The trap is that you tell your product owner or your business analyst or your scrum master or whoever, your stakeholder, you tell them, I'm going to do all this stuff. Then there's not enough hours in the day. So the solution to that always is to break up your scope into tiny bite-sized chunks, minimally commit, push the rest down the road, get there when you get there. So what would be sort of the minimal interesting thing I could do for this paper? I think it would be, do not test any novel theories, just outline them. I think that's it. So here's the big, the big battle cry. Do not test any new theories, just outline them. survey and partial replication. This is a survey. This is a survey and a partial replication. A full replication would so a full replication doesn't entail testing a new theory. It's just like there's this opportunity cost where if I gathered all the data to replicate fully, I would also have the data to test the novel theories. And so why not do that? Well, one answer to the question, why not do that? One answer would be, just for the sake of focus and brevity. Okay, so let's write it out. This is a survey and a partial replication. A full replication. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not a full replication. 1, 2, 3, 4. If we had data to execute a full replication, why limit ourselves to the battle cry? Why not test novel theories? 1, 2, 3, 4. The answer to 2 is brevity, focus, paper focus, brevity, paper scope focus. Yeah. Paper brevity, paper clarity of thought, scope focus, and analysis time, and analysis and authoring time. Okay, those are like good reasons, right? So the idea here, working backwards, the last one is just that it's going to take so much time to analyze all that data effectively, and to write the results. Speaking of writing results, that loops back to the front, which is paper brevity. There's like a trend these days to shorter papers. Shorter papers are cool, sexy papers. Long, ginormous papers are bad, bad, bad. That should be multiple papers, right? Similar to tech, modular code. You don't want a monolithic application. You want a bunch of microservices that can be swapped out, used on an ad-needed basis. The microservice here would ideally be a paper as a microservice. If I refer to a paper, let's say I'm paper A and I refer to paper B, and I say, hey, paper B says X. Let's say you're trying to validate my claim and you're checking my source. So you have to search through the haystack to find the needle. It's a lot easier for you as the sort of verifier. It's a lot easier for you if reference B is a concise paper. And so I could even cite B, C, and D, and you would say claim X and B, claim Y and C, claim Z and D. And it would be easier for you to verify than if I said this paper has X, Y, and Z in one ginormous paper. That would be harder to verify, right? Anyway, that's one motivation. On the other side of it, it's like, yeah, but if it was all together, it would have hella sites, right? And some people just care about that. That's an interesting question. Hey, if you are an academic, I have a real question for you because I don't know. I got the PhD, but then I immediately left academia. Is it considered better to have 3 published papers that have, say, 5 to 10 citations on each of them? Or is it considered better to have like a single paper that has 15 to 30, or perhaps like slightly more? Not like outrageously more, but maybe 50 on the single paper. Because you might think that like with so many people referring to the same paper, there's like a slight positive like synergy, to use a buzzword. So I wonder about that. Is it better to have like 3 at 10 or 1 at 30, perhaps even 1 at 50. You might say, no, 3 at 5 is better than 1 at 50, you might say. I don't know. I'm curious about that. However, we might still gather data to permit option 2 and yet execute the battle cry. I think that's my favorite. Get all the data and just don't analyze it yet. And you could have a few papers in the tank. Have a few papers in the tank. So we're going to do that. So let's set up the survey. I'm going to start with a new GitHub repository, believe it or not. I have a single data science practice repo. No, that's not what I want. I have like a dissertation repository. Yeah, and I really don't want, like, this is for my dissertation. It's not for like all the papers I ever do. Except I've made it such. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's like I meant for it to be for my dissertation, but it grew into all my papers. Awkward face emoji. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for. You know what I mean, Google. You got me. So this would be like research, economics. Whoa, what the balls? Economics. Economic models. I don't know. Economic data. I don't think I actually have the data files in this repo. Let me check. Save changes. Let's go. Papers, COVID, papers, experiment, data. Oh, what's up? CSV file. Okay. So I have the data in here. Cool. Economic research, economic data. Yeah, I already did research. What else would be in here? Education. Econometrics, yeah. Economic data. Economics of education. There it is. Like, that's pretty much it, right? Microeconomics. And there's some macroeconomics too. Why not? Okay, cool. I think that works. I need to come update all this stuff. This is like so out of date up at this top level. Okay, so I have GitHub. I already have the repository research dissertation. So here, papers, we're gonna make a new folder. And what do we call this? We call this, alt ed gender. Did I already start that? I might have already started it. Control P, alt ed gender. Go to the tech file, right click, close others. When was this created? Got get lins loading in the background. Gender and alternative credentials 5 months ago. Okay, yeah, so I think What I was about to do, I already did in the past, which was just like sort of a version control repository skeleton. So where was that title? Digital bootcamps in gender equity. It's really about more than digital bootcamps, isn't it? What's up with this buzzword? Alternative credentials and gender equity? I'm going to comment that, but I kind of like that more. But I'm going to comment it because this is the paper title that I submitted to the conference. I'll check with the panel host. I'm not the panel host. I'll check with the panel host about switching out the name. I'm not sure if that's going to annoy anyone. Okay, so I'm going to grab all of this. Bam! 1, 2, 3. Boom. Older stuff below. So this is a tech file, compiles to LaTeX. I use that TechWorks because I'm on Windows. I'm not doing that right now. Like, we're not ready to compile the paper right now. But that is the tool that I use. And I use it with VS Code. Like, why not? Cool. So just deleted all of that. Clear this up. We know what we're doing. What we're doing is we're going for all the data. We're going for all the data. Let me undo that again. Okay, so we're going for all the data. Even though we're not going to like use all the data, we're going to gather all the data. This is like semi-commercial use because Laterally, I run a bootcamp Laterally. It's like a bootcamp alternative. It's an online course with a coaching component, one-on-one coaching option. This is like the admin view. Here, I'll show you what it looks like for you. So here's what it looks like to the like website visitor. There's a free tier if you want to sign up. You can schedule a 30-minute consultation with me. There is a course that's going to be like, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks a month, something like that. It's a work in progress. But I also do one-on-one coaching right now. All this to say that the results of this survey are likely to inform my curriculum over there. Like, my past research already has been informing my curriculum for Laterally. Do not test any new theories, just outline them. So I don't need survey questions for this stuff. I don't need survey questions for this stuff. I don't need survey questions for this stuff. So the big 3 theories are my questions. So what I want to know is grit and ocean. Okay, grit and ocean in COVID. Yep, okay, COVID was down there. I want to know grit, ocean, COVID, prestige, skill, evaluation, like standard sociological measures. That's going to be like the it's going to be like the education and work experience, age, sex, location, industry, income, all that stuff. Those are standard sociological measures. Communication skill, teamwork, equal, okay. Social norms thing, industry, yep, industry is already captured. Cool. Grit, ocean, COVID, prestige, skill evaluation, standard sociological measures. I could add a people person question. Scale of 1 to 10, beware. What is the person who thinks they're so smart effects? I think I'm so smart effect. Dunning-Kruger. Beware Dunning-Kruger overconfidence here. I like to measure 1 to 10 so that you can extract the Dunning-Kruger. If you just do like 1, 2, 3, 4, like agree or disagree, right? You know what? Agree and disagree are so heavily aggregated that you don't have to worry about Dunning-Kruger. So Dunning-Kruger, let's go double check. But I forget what scale they used, but it's only at the end of the scale. It's not like everyone on the right half of the scale. This is actually a level 10 argument right here. It could be illusory, driven by forcing effects, exacerbated by measurement error causing censoring rather than representing a true deficit. Yep. Incompetent people think they're much better than they actually are, but they typically still don't think they're quite as good as, people who actually are good. Never claim to show that the unskilled think they're better than the skilled. That's just the way the finding is often interpreted. Yeah, it's a misinterpretation. I want to know what measure they used. Was it a 1 to 10 or not? Let's go look at the original paper, I guess. '99. Yeah, that's when it was. That was the original paper, I suppose. Yep, this is the one. People tend to hold overly favorable views of their abilities in many social and intellectual domains. The author suggests that this overestimation occurs in part because people who are unskilled suffer a dual burden. Not only do these people reach erroneous conclusions and make unfortunate choices, but their incompetence robs them of the metacognitive ability to realize it. Oof! Ouch! So real. 15 bucks for this study? Dude, it's a classic. How have you not opened this? No way. There's an open copy of this study somewhere. Right here? Someone has an open copy of this study. Okay. Thank you. I just want to see what was the scale used. Was it a 1 to 10 or bottom quartile, a percentile, huh? Oh, they actually did like a scale of 1 to 100? Yo, they went so hard in the paint, didn't they? Good job, guys. Real science for the win. I've had this weird pressure where people have been like pressuring me to use shorter scales, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 answer scales. And I'm like, no, like you can't have very good high quality continuous continuous measurement. It collapses into a categorical variable. We doubt whether many of our readers would dare take on Michael Jordan in a game of one-on-one. Challenge Eric Clapton with a session of dueling guitars. That'd be epic, wouldn't it? Oh, what I just kicked? Oops. Did I just explode the internet? So they did a scale of 1 to 100. So if they're going to do a scale of 1 to 100, then people who want me to do a shorter scale can shut their mouths. Well, they broke it into quartiles. Let me, before I get too hasty. Was it a third quartile? Third quartiles were the loserist. Perceived ability to recognize humor as a function of actual test performance. Actual test score or perceived ability. Yeah, look at this. Look at these people. Golly. Golly, golly. Dunning-Kruger is still good. Dunning-Kruger is still so good. Dunning-Kruger is still so good. I have to post it right now. Smart people are funny. And there's like a humility that comes about it at a certain level, right? Where you know you're funny and you don't have to like see that humorous reaction in everyone else. And then dumb people are like making dumb jokes, and then they're like, "Isn't it funny?" And you're like, "It's actually not funny." And they're like, "Ha ha ha ha! Your jokes suck. My jokes rock." It's like, all right. It's literally, it's like anticipating Reddit here. They just anticipated Reddit. Okay. So they break it into quartiles. And that's interesting. That's interesting, right? Because, yeah, the people, what we often hear is that the people who rate themselves like all 10s on a measurement of their own performance, they give themselves all 10s. Like those are the Dunning-Krugers. Here, yeah, I'm at the very bottom to 50. I'm exactly average to 99. I'm at the very top. Okay, so can I just use quartiles? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. Can I just use 4 options? I don't want to use a scale of 0 to 100. My tendency is to go 1 to 10 because, and I have a good reason, because that's where all my other questions already are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they're uniform units. I'm going to stick with that. Okay, I'm going to stick with that. Well, I know the COVID question is fewer choices. It's categorical. COVID, 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 da, 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 COVID. Ocean Great COVID. Bam. Yeah, y'all are not ready for this. I'm taking my time and I'm making sure I do it right because this is going to be a ginormous survey. There's like so much work to do. Okay. To what degree has coronavirus impacted your life? That's not the only question that I asked. I asked 2 questions. No, I asked 3 questions. Okay, so I guess that was a different COVID study then. Survey on COVID. I asked 3 different COVID questions. To what degree has coronavirus negatively impacted your life? Okay. Yeah. One, two, three, 4. So these are 4 choices, right? To what degree has coronavirus negatively impacted your life? Rafal, what's up? To what degree has coronavirus impacted your life? There's like a subtle difference here because there's an option my life hasn't changed noticeably. There's like a subtle difference here. I think I'll probably just like throw out this question. Throw it out, throw it out, throw it out. Okay. So yeah, how do you correct for Dunning-Kruger? You would need an objective measure. You would need like an actual IQ test or an actual EQ test. I think that's just something to speak to. Caveat, speak to Dunning-Kruger. An actual EQ test might be more, well, like would be more accurate. Correlation expected though. But it could be like a nonlinear relation, right? So it's actually a nonlinear, but it's not like strongly, it's like a weakly nonlinear relation. Okay. Roughly linear, weakly non. And it was like sort of cubic, yeah? It wasn't really quadratic. Look at this graph. Right, it looks like a somewhat cubic relation. Weakly cubic, it's a weakly cubic relation. Cool. So I want to know grit, ocean, COVID, prestige, skill evaluation, standard sociological measures. Possibly endogenous to personality, norms, orientation. Yeah. Give me all the data. Even if I don't write about it, I want all the data. This is what I want. Okay, so we'll drop it in here. Boom, boom. Put this over the top. 1, 2, 3. Cool. Let's go. This is research dissertation. just like rough. This is just like a rough outline. It's going to be conflicted, I think. I think I need to pull. It shouldn't conflict. Okay, cool. Good, good, good. So we know our survey, and the answer is intimidating, but that's how it should be. And it's, I want all the data. So if I want, I don't need to do an experimental comparison. So I don't need like the two variants. So if I want all the data, I want to start with the biggest data. So that means I import the minimal things. It's got to be the skill survey. Skill survey has to be the biggest one. Dang. I just know this is going to be like really hard to do. Okay. Alt-ed matching. I think it's under matching. Yep, level of written communication skill held by an ideal job applicant. So this is the skill survey. So what should I call this survey? This is like, this is the meta survey. It's a meta survey. It's a survey. It's a survey. So survey means different things in different contexts. One of the meanings of survey is like a literature review, basically. A survey of the literature. And what we're really doing here is a survey of surveys. It's a meta survey. And it is a meta-analysis as well. Okay, so we have a fair enough name. So let's go Alt-Ed matching. I want to copy this. Send a copy, create template, make a copy. I want to make a copy of the questions. Hopefully it doesn't try to copy any responses. That would be awful. Yeah, Alt-Ed matching. This is going to be Alt-Ed meta survey. Left align, select a category, academic research. Data rep, Alt-Ed meta survey. Okay. Survey on alternative credentials. That's the page title. What if I go to the next page? What, it's all on one page? Huh, okay. This is the survey title, and then the other is the page title. So this survey title should be Survey on Alternative Credentials. That's what it is. And then the page title is similar. I think that's fine. Survey asks questions about so-called alternative credentials. For the purposes of this survey, alternative credentials include certificates, documents, and other proof of receiving education other than traditional credentials. Okay, that's great. There are two sections. The first section of questions is intended to take 5 to 10 minutes, and the second section is intended to take less than 10 minutes. It's going to take longer than that, dude. There is a total of 52 prompts. There are a total. Oh, I actually don't know. Is that there is or there are? I'm not sure. There is a total. The total is singular. Yep. Okay. So let's see. Do you contribute to hiring and firing decisions at your company? If you do contribute to hiring and firing decisions, please write the most common job title for which you make such decisions. If you do not, please write your current or most recent job title. If you've never held a job of any kind, write an A. Okay. Duration. Research, dissertation. Trying to find the duration keyword. Why is it not there? It was found a moment ago. Yeah, see? Research dissertation. Okay. Let's do slash. I don't know why it's not matching this. Research dissertation. Oh, because I misspelled dissertation. Dissertation. Cool. Duration measures the length of time the respondent believes it takes to obtain an alternative credential. So did it end up being important? Yeah, apparently yes. Oh, Whittington, what's up? Thanks for dropping by. Here for the research. Awesome, dude. Love it. Yeah, right now I'm forming the survey. Yeah, I'm kind of worried about like talking about it all, but I guess I don't need to talk about it all. I just get the data and then I talk about whatever subsection I want. Okay. So, in that case, we're going to keep the duration variable. For many professions, alternative credentials can qualify a person for an entry-level position. Okay. Whoa, what is this? Library? What does that mean? Add question to team library. Oh, that's interesting. What I want to do is, I want to have like another page. New page, there it is. Adding page. I guess why does it matter if there's another page? I don't want to do that because then I have to like move all the pages. All right, so it's just going to be like a giant page. CMC Coffee Dev, what's up? Appreciate the likes. Okay. Grit, Ocean, COVID, Prestige, Skill. So we have skill. So I have skill. I want to know skill, grit plus COVID, or grit plus ocean. COVID is its own thing. I want to know COVID. I want, and I have. So here's grit, ocean, COVID, prestige, skill, grit, ocean. Oh, I already said that. Standard sociological measures. Okay. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Doing some research, man. Just trying to get the questionnaire right. Questionnaire is so important. A lot of people want to emphasize the all the fancy cluster analysis, linear regression, multiple regression, logistic, whatever, dynamic, stochastic, regression, discontinuity, all the different modeling techniques. But you got to get the questions right or your whole thing's screwed. It's facts. I'll just do a linear regression. And if you have interesting questions, I care what you said. And if you ask a stupid question, I don't care what kind of model you ran it on. It's a stupid question. Okay. So here's alt-ed matching. We already got that. Alt-ed matching. Here's prestige. Let's get the prestige questions. Hiring and firing decisions at your company. How much does it cost to upgrade? I almost just want to do it. Contact you to, I'm not trying to contact you, sorry. Can't you just be nice to me and make it easy on me? Qualify a person for an entry-level position. Hiring, firing decisions. How long do you believe it takes to obtain a credential? How many full-time employees currently work for your organization? Oh, I didn't ask about that. How many full-time employees? Dang, I didn't ask about that. Okay. Break formal or informal rules. I feel like I need like a spreadsheet or something. Do you contribute to hiring and firing decisions is on both of these? It will soon become common for high school graduates to obtain alternative credentials. Oh, I didn't get level of education over here. Golly. Can I export like SurveyMonkey? Export questions. Analyze result. I don't want to export the results. I want to export the questions. I do want like a bank of questions. It's just so hard to work with these because if I screw one up, I screw the whole thing up. All right, well, I kind of think this is, I'm going to just have to do a total grind here. So, okay. Do you contribute to hiring and firing decisions at your company? If you do contribute to hiring and firing decisions, please write the most common job title for which you can make such decisions. Thinking about the job title provided and the response to the second question, are you aware of any alternative credentials which would be required, recommended, or applicable for this job? How long do you believe it usually takes to obtain an alternative credential? Alternative credentials can qualify a person. soon become common for high school graduates to obtain alternative credentials instead of going to college. Okay, let's copy it. I'm going to add a question. So I got to add it and then like move it all the way up. Okay, let's see. Star rating 10. Strongly disagree to strongly agree. Okay, strongly disagree, strongly agree. Did I use weights over there? Use weights, yes, okay. Requires an answer. Now move it. Where do I want to move it? After. Boom. Yeah, I think I want to break these pages up. It just feels too disorganized to me. So this page title, survey title, and then the page title will be, let's go with the first page title. First page title will be demographic information, basic demographic information. Okay, so first we'll ask basic demographic information. Then we will have industry and occupation. This page asks about your employment situation, including industry of occupation and managerial duties. Managerial responsibilities. Occupational information. This page asks about your employment situation, including let's just leave it at that. This page asks about your employment situation. So one question is like, here I tell them about alternative credentials. Do I want to do that before thinking about the job title provided in the response to the second question? Are you aware of any alternative credentials which would be required, recommended, or applicable for this job? So I don't need to define an alternative credential before I do that. Oh yeah, I do. Are you aware of any alternative credentials which would be required, recommended, or applicable for this job? So-called alternative credentials. For the purposes of this survey, alternative credentials include certificates, documents, and other proof of receiving education other than traditional credentials. Traditional credentials include a high school diploma or an undergraduate degree from an accredited university. Okay, I can do basic demographic information third then. Maybe I just ask him about the alternative credentials up front. I think that's fine. Okay, so let's add a new page. Page logic, more actions, move page to the top before page 1. Okay, so this is the new page 1, and page 1, the page title is going to be favorability to alternative credentials. This page introduces, provides a definition for this page defines alternative credentials, and asks some questions. Asks some questions about how you view them. This page asks some questions about your views on alternative credentials. Cool. This page asks some questions about your views on alternative credentials. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is define alternative credentials. So move to page 1. Cool. So that's good. This will move to occupational information. So that's over there. There's going to be another page, which is going to be like skills. Let me double check. Right, skills, occupational skills. We'll just call it that. Occupational skills. This page asks about the level of skill. This question asks about the level of skill this question asks how skilled you think. I'll write it in the naive way and then I'll refine it. This page asks how skilled you think various kinds of people are. This page asks how skilled you think various kinds of people are. Now, how can I rephrase that to say that better? This page asks about the skill level you perceive. This page asks about the skill levels you perceive in individuals with different backgrounds, different kinds of individuals. This page asks about the skill levels you perceive in different kinds of individuals. I think that works. Perceived skill levels. Perceived skill levels. All right, cool. Let's move those over. The next section of the surveys, we're going to edit that. That's not true. This section will provide A series of prompts and a response on a scale from 1 to 10 is requested. The response indicates a degree of quality. A response of 1 indicates very little or no quality. A response of 10 indicates a level of quality reserved for the Guinness Book of World Records. There is a total of 52 prompts. The prompts are created by providing 4 variations of 13 basic prompts. Each prompt is meant to be answered within about 10 seconds, so the whole section should take less than 10 minutes. Yeah, basically you're supposed to fly through it. Now, I don't know if a lot of people do, but that's the intent anyway. This survey asks about so-called alternative credentials for the purposes of this survey. The timing there are 2 sections. The first section of questions is intended to take. I'm going to remove that. Okay. Because there's going to be more sections. This survey asks questions about so-called alternative credentials. The purpose of the survey: alternative credentials include certificates, documents, and other proof of receiving education other than traditional credentials. Cool. Basic demographic information about you. Occupational information. Occupational, yep. Thinking about the job title provided and the response to the above question. Kai IO, what's up? What's up? How many full-time employees currently work for your organization? Okay. Do you contribute to hiring and firing decisions? If you do, that makes sense. And then thinking about the job title provided in the response to the above question. Okay, that makes sense. Instead of favorability to, perceptions, perception of alternative credentials. This page asks some questions about your views on alternative credentials. I think that's right. Because this question here is not actually a favorability question, it's just a perception question. Can qualify. Soon become common for, yep, so that is perception question. People who are willing to break formal or informal rules. Okay, this is like its own set of questions. Industries matches your profession. This is occupational information. I think instead of moving all these questions one by one, I'm just going to move the whole page. So I'm going to make another page, and this one is going to be, dare I make the skills page? Perceived skill levels, right? Okay, let me delete this page, sorry. Delete page. So this is perceived skill levels. I'm going to give it a holding name, HODL, okay? Then the one which is currently called basic demographic information will now be called perceived skill levels. Cut basic demographic information, save, just switching the pages basically, as opposed to switching the page meta information instead of switching the 50 or so questions, because I think that will minimize the chance of error. Cool. Perceived skill levels. This page asks about the skill levels you perceive in different kinds of individuals. I think that makes sense. I think I'm gonna have to give people like $20 to fill out the survey. It's such a long survey, but I'm okay with that. Yeah. Page asks about the skill levels you perceive in different kinds of individuals. Yes, that makes sense. Do you work in a STEM profession is like a question that doesn't matter. I've proved this time and time again, but here it is, so I guess I'll have to ask it. What state do you reside in is demographic. Basic demographic information. Do you work in a STEM profession? Like, I don't care. I don't care. I literally don't care if you work in a STEM profession. It's like a made-up concept. Okay. Basic demographic information. Cool, cool. So what state do you reside in, and what is your gender? What's up? Are you going to take a shower or not? Okay. All right. Be right back, y'all. This is what you're going to say? Pretty cool. I'm getting tired anyway. All right, we back. Back. Thinking about the job title above. So this is all occupational information. This is all skill information. And then this is like, there should be a thank you page at the end, yeah. Page title, thank you. Survey is now complete. Thank you for participating. Move to the thank you page. I'm going to checkbox here. Okay, this should be an email address. Sorry, cancel. Single text box. If you would like to receive a copy of aggregated results, please enter a valid email address. If you would like to receive a copy of aggregated results, please enter a valid email address. Do I actually need to... Is it considered an ethical obligation to provide respondents with a copy of results? I'd really rather not, because this is like my comparative advantage as a educator, right? Go right to the end. World Bank blogs. Should we share results with respondents? After conducting our surveys of young developers, Brooke and I emailed them links to our blog postings of the results as well as to the working paper. We received several replies thanking us for sharing results and saying, wouldn't it be great if the same was done for respondents in the average field experiment and survey? This is something I've struggled with, so I thought I'd share my thoughts. For one-off surveys, the main issues entering the decision are typically cost of delivering the results and literacy comprehension levels. Thus, in my surveys of the top academic achievers in a number of countries, it has been easy to email news coverage, blog postings. Yep. Maybe prohibitively costly. I don't care about the cost. Like not the one-off cost, like the emailing cost. I care about the like business opportunity cost. The concern here is that revealing the results of earlier rounds may affect how people respond to certain questions. Yeah. That doesn't bother me at all because I fully expect, and like on the one hand, if it doesn't change your response, I don't care. These surveys are going to be like year over year, at best month over month, right? So I fully expect people's views will change over time. Practices aren't firmly established, and there is interesting scope for experiments going forward. Yeah, so I'm going to go with no. I'm going to pass then. Protecting respondent confidentiality. I mean, fair enough. I wouldn't be sharing that sort of information anyway. Good practice in the conduct and reporting of good survey research. Sometimes regarded as an easy approach. However, as with any other research approach and method, it is easy to conduct a survey for quality. La da 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 da. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be harming people by sharing the research, other than harming my own like business. I mean, you could argue that by not educating everyone that I'm harming them in sort of this like opportunity cost sort of way. I'm going to go with not sharing. Boom. So thank you for your participation. So let's edit this. If you are taking the survey through Amazon Mechanical Turk, use your worker ID followed by the following for your survey completion code. And this would be October. Cool. Gender is not a spectrum like everyone thinks. Yeah, I don't think everyone thinks that. It's pretty standard practice to have a gender question that's just male or female. I am including an other, but like I get like 2 to 4, like less than 4% of people pick that other. So from a statistical perspective, like it rarely matters. But I include it. I think it denoises my coefficient estimates on female and male. But yeah, I wouldn't do like pick your percentage male, pick your percentage female. Like that would be an abnormal approach. I mean, maybe if you're like specifically in gender studies, that's a thing, but in political science and economics, that's not a thing that people do. And even in sociology, that would be abnormal. I think male and female, and then sometimes like an other, or sometimes like picking. It's usually treated categorically, not as a continuous variable. Yeah, like sometimes they would specifically specify like trans separately, for example. Alt Ed Meta Survey. Okay, so what do we got? It'll soon become common for high school graduates to obtain alternative credentials instead of going to college, scale of 1 to 10. For many professions, alternative credentials, this should be the top question. How long do you believe it usually takes to obtain an alternative credential? Yep, okay, that's fine where it's at. People who are willing to break okay. This is its own question set. So let me add a page for this. So this is a new page. This would be thoughts on rule breakers. Yeah. So we have perception of alternative credentials, perception of rule breakers. I'll keep the page title and description consistent. I actually like thoughts on rule breakers more. Thoughts on rule breakers. And I like thoughts on alternative credentials. Keep it consistent. Question consistency is a major key. Okay. Thoughts on rule breakers. Now that even though this is taking so long, not rushing it was definitely the right choice, I feel. So let's move the page, and this alternative credentials, perceived skill levels. Let's go after perceived skill levels. Bam. No, let's go up top. So this is going to be thoughts on rule breakers. Perceived skill levels, thoughts on rule breakers. Michael Batalla? Is that Spanish or English? Batalla? How's it doing, Michael? How you doing, Michael? Thanks for joining. Okay, so thoughts on alternative credentials is right up top. That makes sense. And it's a short, sweet questionnaire section. Survey on alternative credentials. Thoughts on rule breakers. Asks some questions about your views on rule breakers. Page asks some questions about your views on alternative credentials. Good. Page asks about the skill levels you perceive in different kinds of individuals. This section will provide a series of prompts and a response on a scale of 1 to 10 is requested. Okay. I think it's fine as is. Oh, that's another interesting question. That could be a norms question. So there's an EQ stereotyping norm that we could potentially detect. I can never remember what is 5. Is it IV or is it VI? I think it's IV. 4 Roman numeral. I think it's IV. Yeah, okay, the I comes first. Okay, so maybe I always remember it and then I always second guess myself. Okay, cool. That's fine. How long do you believe it usually takes to obtain an alternative credential? This is good. People who are willing to, so this is the thoughts on rule breakers. Perceived skill levels. Good. Employment situation. Hiring and firing decisions. Job description, like job title. Thinking about the job title you provided. How many employees work in your organization? Which of these industries most closely matches your profession? Yep. So I think this is well organized at this point. Although, I mean, okay, and the thank you page is last. So I think it's well organized at this point, but we want to add some more questions. Add up the pros and cons for online education. It's probably a good thing for society overall. I guess I'll keep it. I don't really know if I care about it. But the point of this is not to filter. The point of this is not to filter questions. That would be a subsequent study. Basically, get the meta study, determine some things are unimportant, and then you can leave them out in the future. So for now, we just keep them. Is there some sort of lag or something? Okay. When you add up the pros and cons for online education, it's probably a good thing for society overall. This would be a star rating, scale of 1 to 10. Add rating labels, yes, please. Require an answer. 1 star would be strongly. Disagree. 10 stars would be strongly agree. Okay, save. Getting the stars next to each other is also a nice thing to do. We're missing a lot of basic demographic information here. I guess in this study that I copied, I wasn't super interested in the demographics, but in the meta study, I am. Thoughts on rule breakers? Cool. Which industry? We already got it. Gender, already got it. Household income. Okay, let's get those demographics, baby. Let's fatten up those demographics. So this would be household income. They should have suggested question in this regard. Insert text from, answer piping, pipe text from one question to another. I don't need that. That's interesting though. This is what I want to do. Options. I like to copy. I want to copy it to another survey. I guess you're not going to let me do that, are you? Household income. I'm quite annoyed about this because I know that you have like an Answer Genius predictive format for this. Oh, do I need to pick it? That's the reason. Income. Well, Answer Genius, you didn't do a good job. All right. Aman, thanks for joining. So this is how many? 1, 2. Can I do, yeah, bulk answers, right? Ugh. It'll let you bulk import, but not bulk export. Export. I really feel they're doing that on purpose. Okay. Let's just make it a grind. Prefer not to answer. Cool. Options require an answer to this question. Save. Okay, I think it looks good, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, yeah. Age. Multiple choice. 18, 1824. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, so they have like more age options. That's interesting. Marketing age groups. Age segmentation means focusing on the age range most valuable to your product. Marketing demographic age brackets are usually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 55 to 64. 55 to 64. Okay, so there's a trade-off here, right? So one approach is use the same age groups from previous. And the other is use the new one. The new one is, first of all, it's higher resolution because it's 7 instead of 5, but it's also consistent with marketing norms. So I like that idea. I don't understand. What's up? What's up? Thanks for joining. So I'm going to break character and go with the, I'm going to change the age question. In the past, I've done I think a continuous analysis. I think it was weak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I did like a continuous age analysis and it ended up being weak. This needs to be required. Options require an answer. Okay. What's the highest level of education you have completed? New question. Level of education. Oh, I think I'm getting so tired it's like in front of me and I'm not seeing. Education. Hello. Race, ethnicity, income, age. Literally, education should be right here. It's a standard socioeconomic measure. Am I missing it? I feel so dumb right now. What if I just say education? Does it repredict and like give me something useful this time? Nope. Still not useful. Okay, we'll pull from here. What is the highest level of education you have completed? Did not graduate from high school. GED, high school diploma. Some college. Obtained an undergraduate degree. Some graduate school. Obtained a non-doctoral graduate degree. obtained a doctoral degree. And then people are going to like be arguing about like, is it Juris Doctor or a doctoral degree? No. Is there a more specific way to say this? There are also some types of technical or professional degrees that include doctor in their name and are classified as doctorate in some of those countries. Professional doctorates historically came about to meet the needs of practitioners in a variety of disciplines. I don't want to introduce that weirdness at the moment. I mean, I'll just leave it as it was asked previously. But really, the intent there is to get at people like me who have gotten a research PhD, not a professional doctoral degree. Obtained a non-doctoral graduate degree. It's like, what if you get an MD? Let's split it. Obtained a PhD, obtained a non-PhD doctoral degree. Obtained a non-PhD doctoral degree. Obtained a non-PhD doctoral degree, obtained a PhD. Obtained a non-doctoral graduate degree. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay. Race, ethnicity, state you reside in, we already have. This I will ignore. Race, ethnicity best describes you. Which race, ethnicity best describes you? Describes you. Okay. Race, ethnicity. White or Caucasian? Hispanic or Latino, black. Okay. White, Caucasian, Hispanic, black. And then I saw the other down here, another race. Asian, Asian American, American Indian, Asian, American Indian. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what was the 7th? Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander here is split out. I think that's cool. another race, or like the idea of like two or more of the above. So what about like West Asian? That's still Asian. What about like Polynesian? I guess that would be Asian. I think pretty much everything is accounted for here, right? Other or multiracial. Other race or multiracial. I almost don't like including multiracial, because the question is like, which one do you most identify with? I guess I'll just put other. Like, if you're not happy with any of those, you can always pick other. And that is basically other race or multiracial, but it's just more concise, other. Cool. And it's required. What state do you reside in? We already got that. I prefer to hire or work with a person that has a college degree rather than a person that holds a reputable certification or non-college credential. This would be prestige. Alt prestige. Here is the tech. I prefer to okay. Here is the PDF. Prefers traditional coworker, we say. And it seems like modestly important, yeah. Okay. Even independently in a multi-factor, yeah. Prefers traditional coworker. Cool. True or false? Why not? Just like true or false. Yeah. Options require an answer. Hi, I can answer these for you. Hey, that would be cool. I mean, feel free, but to do like real statistical analysis, I'll need like hundreds of answers. But would love to hear your thoughts too. I just learned for and while loops. Awesome. Congrats on that. I prefer to hire or work with a person that has a college degree rather than a person that holds. So this is not basic demographic information. This is cancel. Oops. Move to occupational information. Cool. So like which industry, and then I prefer to work with a person that has, yeah. So it's like an occupational question. Do you tend to work more closely with coworkers at your company or customers and external business partners? Let's look. At the paper. Prestige response, external facing, right? That's what it was. External facing fails out. It fails out. Unit question on work norms records whether the respondent tends to work more closely with coworkers at your company or customers and external business partners. Motivation is to test whether prestige disproportionately impacts roles that are outward facing. Okay. Oh, so medium failed out, but external, low, high. Is this a personal survey? This is like an academic survey. It's not really, it's administered to individual people, if that's what you mean. What do you mean? Cool. So I didn't actually, it seems like I didn't write about it. But in any case, it failed out. Which preferred, I should have named the preferred model. Model 3 is the preferred model. Yeah. So this factor fails out. For that reason, I'm going to exempt it. Learning provider that you have heard of before today. Cool. So demographics are done. Let me look through one of my other surveys. Let's go Coffee Grid Ocean. Open a new tab. Design survey. Hiring and firing decisions. Cool. Conventional online education, artificial intelligence. I'm going to fail out artificial intelligence. So familiarity. Have you heard of any of the following online course providers? Familiarity. Interesting. Familiarity and regulation. Let's see. Okay, so it seems like my papers do not talk about this variable. So let me double check some of the Python or stata results, but it feels like if I'm not talking about them, then it probably failed out. COVID grid ocean. So this would be, yeah. Here's a tech file, double click. Here is data file, vars. Let's go favorite religion. Right, so I have religiosity. Wow, did I straight up ask Christian on this one? Okay, that was just some leftover analytical code. Paper regulation. Looks like it's just like defined and not used. That doesn't seem to make sense. Okay. Specifically, test whether conservative support for regulation is observed as an effect of personality or constrained mental effort. Evidence indicates that mental effort does not influence support for regulation. Personality effects are important factors of support for unaccredited higher education. Conservative support for alternative learning is amplified, not attenuated. Opposite expectation, conservative support for alternative learning is amplified, not attenuated, in a multiple regression with factors of personality. So you take the personality out of it, and the effect's even bigger. Okay, let's look at the PDF. I'm going to wrap up here in the next 5 minutes. So we got AI squared, conscientiousness, expectation, familiarity grid. There's nationalism and pro-regulation. Pro-regulation. Wow. What am I talking about? Okay, I think that was just like a... yeah, so it's like a very significant effect. So this is the amplification we're talking about. Bam. Okay, so I should include the question basically. Religiosity didn't seem to matter. Nationalism didn't seem to matter. Let's check on that. Religiosity. Okay, no, I think it's just that it wasn't measured in multiple years. I'm not sure if I have that right. Correction for religiosity in 2018 shows that social conservatives tend to support alternative education. Government regulation helps ensure businesses treat individuals more fairly. Okay, so this is like ideological. So I have skill, and I have, I don't think I got prestige yet. I thought that AI thing was like a big effect, actually. Right? Yeah, it was. Technology virus. Technology bias. Anti-foreign bias. Okay, I think I'm going to have to pick this up tomorrow because there's still quite a bit to do, actually. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in.